Okay, I am back from New Orleans, going to see WrestleMania, and I needed to try to find a way to legitimize how and why this would go on the podcast, seeing as wrestling isn't necessarily horror related. In a way it is. They have a few horror type characters, but wrestling overall is not horror. But it was something that I was very interested in, very excited to do, and this was an outlet to be able to record and archive and share my experience, but I still wanted to try to find a way to make this make sense to be on the show. I came up with a couple of different ways. I'm going to do one at the beginning of the episode, and then I'm going to do another at the end. We're going to start off with the first one, and we're going to start off with haunted houses. This is me as Gribbins that I'm talking about now. My time at Haunted Hotel as Thomas Gribbins, and I know I've talked about this before, but I feel like it's necessary to talk about again. But in a different light now. See, Thomas Gribbins, when I made him, I had to figure out where he was from. I wanted him to be somewhat southern. He was based off of Cajuns at first. I didn't like the Cajun accent, so I picked certain aspects from their accent, and I mixed other accents together, and I just rationalized it in my head by saying that he had a mixed accent because he went around to multiple different places in the South. But nevertheless, I stated that Thomas was born in Louisiana, and it didn't hit me until maybe after the first day of the trip that I was in Louisiana, and that's where Thomas Gribbins is from. I could take that moment to learn a bit about how Gribbins would have been raised. Now, he wasn't born and raised in New Orleans. I never wrote it that way. As a matter of fact, I believe I wrote it that he was born in Lafayette. But still, New Orleans as a whole, when it came to like food, that was a way to be able to experience what kind of food Thomas Gribbins would have grown up with. What kind of food would he enjoy? Granted, like I said, the atmosphere of New Orleans wasn't necessarily Lafayette. That much I know. But some of the things that bleed over just as a Louisiana culture. Again, I'm going to bring up food because that's the most prominent thing in my mind. And it makes sense that with Gribbins being an extension of me, the food I enjoyed in Louisiana would be the food he would enjoy. And that could be something that I can bring into the character now that I've never really brought up before. Just some good old Cajun or Creole food. This sounds really, really stupid, I know. And in a way, it is. It is very stupid. I'm exploring a character of mine and now discovering what his favorite foods are. Like, I really enjoyed crawfish pie and jambalaya and gumbo. It was all really good. I even had some alligator tacos. It was all fantastic, and this is all things that I can draw off of. But there's really no character shaking experiences I had in Louisiana or New Orleans. I will say, getting to see the state, it might affect me a bit more as a character. I don't believe I saw Lafayette. If I did see Lafayette, I don't remember seeing it. And even if I did see it, we would have just passed by it on the highway. But regardless, being able to see the state, recognize that, hey, this is where I've said Thomas Gribbins is from, that was kind of surreal to me. To be able to experience a place that was real. It's a real place, but it was always in my head. And just knowing that something I had created was wrote to have been from there was an experience. And I don't think I'll forget that. Again, the only real solid thing that I'm coming out of this with is being able to understand what kind of foods Thomas would enjoy. And that's stupid. But at the same time, I got to see the state that I said he was from. And that brings Thomas Gribbins a bit closer to me, I believe. And for that, I mean, WrestleMania, New Orleans, Louisiana, it was all fantastic. It really was. But for that experience of seeing the place where someone I play is supposed to be from is not something that I will ever take lightly. And I don't think it's ever something I'll ever really forget either. But with that said, I'm gonna end this part of the ramble. I will come back at the end of the episode because there's something else I want to talk about that is horror related that we ended up doing in Louisiana. In New Orleans, Louisiana. And we ended up going to the Museum of Death. Now, this was born out of me trying to find a way to legitimize this podcast again, and I believe that this was a nice way to do so. We ended up at the Museum of Death, and I learned a lot of cool stuff that I'll talk about at the end. If you want to skip ahead, you'll skip about 2 hours from now, and you'll get to that discussion. But till then, here is our trip in New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend. We're in New Orleans.
Yeah, finally. Drive about killed me.
I know this is a horror podcast usually, but I guess there's some horror involved because we may see some men kill themselves.
Maybe Shane McMahon, after his surgery he had less than 2 weeks ago.
Fucking rupture his diverticulitis.
Yet it takes 2 years for Daniel Bryan to get cleared. Whatever. Shane McMahon was not the person I thought I'd be worried about getting cleared this year.
And now, here we go. But we're starting out with TakeOver tonight. Oh.
And we only have 5 matches, but not a single one is going to be a sleeper.
No.
This card looks amazing.
NXT is always good, man. Always.
This might be one of the best takeovers ever, though.
Well, let's run down the card. The Steven Larson's podcast, though, they've been doing a thing where they do predictions and assign confidence points and everything. We took that format. We're going to do that now. And we got nothing on the line. But
oh well, for the fun of it.
So we'll start out with Black versus Almas. Who you got? How many confidence points and why?
For the NXT Championship, I think it's Aleister Black's time. I think he's been in NXT too long to not have won the title yet. He's taking the title. Although there is that slight chance he gets called up to the main roster. I only assigned it 3 confidence points, but I think Black's going over.
And I got Black as well. Different reasoning. I got... I'm pretty sure Almas is going up to main, and Black has been climbing through the ranks to get to the top of NXT's card, and he's almost there. But Almas, he's going to be moving on, so he can't take the title up to main. But I'm not very confident because I assigned it 2 points.
Really, with whoever wins this match, we don't lose either way. One of them's probably going up to main, and one of them's NXT champion.
Yeah.
Both of which are great scenarios because Almas has been killing it. Black never wasn't killing it. Win-win.
And I'm trying to speed through these because this is going to be a long as shit thing if it goes the way I think it will. So we're going to move on down to Baszler versus Ember Moon. Who you got, why, and how many confidence points?
Oh man, all 5 of my confidence points are on Baszler winning this match. They've already had 2 matches. Ember Moon won the first one clean. Baszler tried to get her revenge. There were shenanigans. Kairi Sane interfered. This is Baszler's chance. She's winning the title. And once again, I think Moon is going up to the main roster afterwards.
I'm similar. I think Moon is going up to the main roster, so I only gave it 4 points. But I haven't kept up with NXT as much as I should have. But from what I have seen, Baszler's been chasing after Moon long enough. She should have taken it off of Moon last pay-per-view. And it's her time.
I think it was a crime she didn't win at that first pay-per-view. Yeah, it was her first match, but the way they've been building her up, that would have been such a great scenario. Come in, badass, destroy the champion, break her arm, whatever.
Well, maybe they'll just do it now, later. Delayed. But how about the Authors of Pain versus Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne versus the Undisputed Era for the NXT Tag Team titles? Who you got, why, and how many confidence points?
I've got Undisputed Era with 4 confidence points. I think Authors of Pain are definitely going to the main roster. And plus, they've already won the championships. They don't need to win these titles.
Mm-hmm.
And this team of Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong, while it's been fun, it's been better than I thought it would be. It's such a weird makeshift pairing, and they don't need to be a long-term tag team. They don't need these titles.
I'm going with Undisputed Era as well. I'm going all in with all 5 confidence points because the Authors of Pain, as you've already said, already had the titles. I think they're going up to main, probably on Monday. And Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne, well, yeah, they've been fun. WWE doesn't like somebody to have multiple belts, and Pete Dunne already has one.
But can you imagine Pete Dunne walking down to the ring with 2 belts hanging out of his mouth?
I can't, actually. And I don't think WWE would let them do that. So I think Undisputed Era retains and continues on holding on to them. But...
And then Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne go on to have some amazing feuding going on in the coming weeks. We're going to have some great matches out of those 2. I can see it.
Yeah. So now we have the 6-man ladder match, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was a ladder match or not.
6-man ladder match for the NXT North American Championship.
The U.S. title. It's just the U.S. title. Yeah, it's EC3 versus Sullivan versus Adam Cole, baby. Versus Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream versus Killian Dane.
So I only assigned 1 of my confidence points to this because there are so many people that could win this. There are so many of these people that could do great things with this title. However, my ideal scenario, I think the Velveteen Dream holding that title, making it his baby, I think he could do some amazing things with that title. And I want to see it, and I think we very well could.
I agree, and that would be very interesting to see Dream and Black holding titles after their amazing feud they had. But I gotta go to the 1% with my 1 confidence point with EC3. I don't have really any reasoning for it other than just I feel like it's gonna happen. That's it.
You know, I almost picked EC3 for this, especially after I saw the way he debuted, the way the crowd reacted, the way he's just so confident on the mic, and you can tell they have big plans for him already. But I don't think it's his time yet. I think he needs some time to chase after it. And I think Velveteen Dream will be the perfect person to chase before EC3 inevitably turns heel.
Mm. I feel like he's already starting to turn heel. He felt a little heelish on his introduction.
He might as well be a heel, but
people are
of course
they're
so excited to see him. We're all excited to see him in NXT. It's a long time coming for him to finally get the chance he always deserved in WWE. So of course he's going to get cheered for a little bit.
What about the Psycho Killer versus Johnny Wrestling?
So I feel like too many people think it is just a lock. Gargano's going to win this match. However, with only 2 confidence points, I will add, but I do think Ciampa's winning this match. I think Gargano is leaving NXT. I think they have bigger plans for him, whether it be the main roster or maybe 205 Live, which 2-3 months ago, I would have been really sad to hear that Gargano was going to 205 Live. But the way 205 Live has been, I think Gargano will be a top star on 205 Live, and I think he'll do big things there.
I went with Ciampa also. A little bit more confident with 3 points because Gargano is leaving NXT. He's already out. He's not coming back because he's got to go up to main at this point. I feel like this is going to be the blow off to the Ciampa Gargano feud that went on while both of them were injured at separate times, and blow it off so that Gargano can go up to main and no longer have to deal with Ciampa anymore, and everyone can. And that'll give Ciampa nuclear heat in NXT. Everyone loves him there.
Oh yeah, and Gargano's had more time in NXT to do more things, and Ciampa's been out. He hasn't done as much as a singles competitor. He can take time as a singles competitor, and then inevitably he's going to get called up, and this will not be their last match.
No, it won't be their last.
They will feud again, but it will not be in NXT.
No, this is their last in NXT, and while Ciampa still stays in NXT, he'll be given that nuclear heat. But looking back at the things we have put down, we agree with most everything, not on our confidence points on everything, except for Velveteen Dream and EC3. But I guess we'll be back here drunk again to go over what happened on the show later on.
While there is certainly doubt on this card, it's a decently predictable card, but that does not take away from how great all these matches look.
Like I said, maybe a horror podcast, but maybe, just maybe, one of these guys will die tonight. I hope not, but maybe. Jesus fucking Christ, that show was like the best rough sex of my entire life. I've borderline lost my voice already.
My throat hurts. Like, my throat actually hurts.
This all started with just the first match, dude.
Oh my god.
Like, the first match lasting an hour.
To be honest, too, I love Kairi Sane. It was a good match, but like when she was out there, I was kind of like, I guess this is gonna be a pretty good show.
I forgot we had Kairi Sane and Tracy. What's her last name?
Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans, and then we had another one. It was Heavy Machinery and
Sabatelli and Moss.
Yeah, that was our beer in piss break, and then found out
War Machine debuted while we were gone.
War Machine debuted while we were gone. I heard the crowd pop as I was coming back with beer, but that's not actually on TakeOver. That was what they recorded for the week after. The first match was the ladder match with EC3, Cole, Sullivan, Ricochet. What do we have written here? Dane. Who else was there? I can't read the handwriting.
You say Sullivan already?
Yeah.
Something Cole.
Dream.
Velveteen Dream.
Oh my
Concussion
god,
himself.
he's gonna die. I'm so scared that we're gonna wake up tomorrow and he's gonna be in the hospital or something.
I was worried about him so many points during that match.
Jeez.
I mean, after that powerbomb on the ladder, he was getting checked out. I thought he was bleeding, didn't see any blood, and then from then on, he just seemed sloppy. And
Yeah.
if it turns out he's not injured, I'll just credit him for being a good seller.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's great. I could tell plenty of it was selling, but he just looked off. I was worried about him. He still went on to so many big spots.
Yeah, he got crushed so many times by the ladders. It was, and then
You talk about getting crushed by the ladders. The EC3
oh my god,
got flattened by about 3 ladders.
That was his hazing into WWE.
Let's just put a ladder on top of EC3 at least 3 times and just flatten him.
But with that, both of us were incorrect with our predictions. And the first ever North American champion is
Adam Cole, baby!
So that was -1 on both of our parts. And what came after that? This is becoming a... Was it
After that was the
Baszler?
women's title match.
Okay.
But see,
Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon.
We're downselling this ladder match as being a spot fest.
No, it was fucking
That
phenomenal.
was one of the best ladder matches I've ever seen in my life. And I know I was there. I'm sure I'm biased because I was there, but I was also in contact with somebody who was not there watching it on the network, and they were also in agreement. So that was one of the best ladder matches
Well,
they've seen ever.
you can attest that I was there and said, like, as the match was going on, we're on the first match. It hasn't even ended yet, and this is one of the best shows I've ever been to, which would probably constitute that it is one of the best ladder matches I've ever seen. Because we didn't even finish the first match, and I was saying this is the best.
Well, that was the thing too. I felt bad for Moon and Baszler, and I mean,
Because they had
that
to
was
follow
also
that.
fantastic matches. But
we were dead because
I was so tired by the end of that.
yeah.
I was still catching my breath. My heart was slowing down.
I just got diagnosed with high blood pressure. That was fucking me up this whole time.
I think that match gave me high blood pressure.
It certainly worked through all the medication I'm taking, and it gave me more high blood pressure. But then Baszler and Moon had to come out and try to follow that, and that's impossible. Like it was a good match they had, but we were all dead, and it'll probably look like on the on camera that we hated the match, but we didn't. It was
once again downselling the match. Was Baszler's best match that I've seen. I'm sure she's had other matches I haven't seen.
Yeah.
On NXT television, best match I've seen Baszler have. Well-deserved win.
well, they did what we wanted them to do at the Rumble takeover, where when she got Moon into that submission move, we were like, all right, this is it. She's gonna make her tap, or she's gonna pass out. She's gonna become champ. And then Ember Moon fought through it, and we were saying that shouldn't happen. But they actually had her pass out this time.
It was a good shock too. It went so long that it had the same feeling as all those matches when the babyface is about to get their big comeback. The crowd was clapping for the big comeback, and I even said right before they called for the bell,
She's about
here
to
it
come
comes. She's about to come back. Here it comes, and then all of a sudden the ref turned and called for the bell, and the crowd all started booing, and I jumped to my feet and started cheering. But that's fine.
I think you and me were the only ones cheering Shayna Baszler.
Maybe the only people in the audience that popped for that.
Because for Baszler, she finally gets the title. She's finally climbing the ranks, and Moon has the opportunity to go to Maine now. Like, this is a win-win for both of them.
I'm just ready to see Moon move on. What Moon's done in NXT has not blown my mind, but she's a great wrestler. I know she has the potential. But her character does not do anything for me right now in NXT, and I'm hoping it's one of those examples of somebody who can move on and do better things, because I know she can do better.
Well, they haven't seemed to be able to pick between the relatable babyface or the mysterious phenom that she was originally booked as. But I feel like when they go to Maine, she might find something more consistent. And I feel like it's going to be more so the relatable babyface female.
Probably.
But then again, she could bring in kind of like a Demon Balor-esque persona of being a phenom, basically.
She can find a balance between being relatable and then having this other side of her that drives her during her matches.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out how to balance those two. If she wants to be both, she needs to figure out how to balance it without just 1 second she's this, but the next second she's that.
And most of that's uncreative, but as a wrestler, she's phenomenal.
The match was phenomenal.
What was after Baszler and Moon?
I think they jumped right into the tag team match after
Yeah,
that. Cole
that was-
pulling double duty tonight.
Yeah.
Only had one match buffer.
We were thinking that Cole was going to be either last or second to last, and they ended up just putting the women's match in between all that. Had the Authors of Pain versus Roderick Strong, and Pete Dunne versus the Undisputed Era with Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, baby.
Now, I talk about Cole pulling double duty tonight like it's some fantastic thing, although less than 5 minutes into the match, he takes a big table spot, and he literally did not come back into the match at all.
I don't fault them for that at all.
Oh no, that ladder match was 45 minutes long.
Almost an hour, actually, I think.
We were almost into the second hour of TakeOver by the end of the ladder match. So
I don't fault them for having
for Adam
take
Cole
the match off.
to only spend 5 minutes in their tag team matches. Perfectly fine.
And, it was...
Especially considering what happened in the end of that match.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with this, that's about all I can remember from it. And nothing, not to try to downplay it again, but that's about all I can remember. Is just one, Pete Dunne had... he had Kyle O'Reilly in a submission, and then I saw somebody run in, and for a split second I was thinking it was Adam Cole for some reason, to break up the pin. It was Roderick Strong, and then he picked up Pete Dunne and just gave him double knees to the back, and then put Kyle O'Reilly on top of Pete Dunne for the 1-2-3, and then Roderick Strong is now part of the Undisputed Era, filling in for Bobby Fish while he is out injured.
And my hope is, ever since ever since Roderick Strong has come in, I've been saying, wow, he's a pretty good wrestler, but he has absolutely negative personality, less than 0. I cannot get behind him. He comes out to the ring and I just sigh and grimace, and I don't like him. I do not enjoy him. And I'm hoping that maybe this heel turn, maybe joining a group full of personality, that will do something for him, will help him.
It will either mask him, which is fine, or he'll get some more personality on his side, which was also fine.
Regardless,
it's a win-win.
The result of this match definitely got me on my feet.
Yeah.
Definitely got me behind Roderick Strong for the first time since he's been in NXT.
But after that was Aleister Black and Andrade Cien Almas.
Another great match out of Almas. Almas has been on fire lately.
I don't know why I didn't give him as much of a chance as I have in the past.
Well, even the storyline they did with him was one of those storylines that we've seen time and again in WWE, where they just play this losing streak and they're doing all of these, they're not trying hard enough, and WWE is so bad with those storylines.
I gave up on him during that.
Exactly, because they've trained us to give up on people during that. But he's come back from that, and the matches he's had since then show that he's capable of so much more.
Yeah.
And considering the results of this match, probably headed to the main roster to do bigger and better things, and rightfully so.
Well, as we were watching, it was... they actually legitimately had me doubting my pick for who I thought was going to win. Yeah, I thought Aleister Black had it, but...
Oh, they had me at a few of those near falls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even when he hit the double knees on the outside of the ring, just like he hit on Gargano, and he went for his finish, I thought, well, great, of course he's going to get his finish. And then you had the reversal, and you get excited. But then he hits his finish in the middle of the ring after that. That near fall.
Oh.
That whole match, full of near falls.
Full of
heart attacks.
And it was able to get... And I really wanted to see Black with the title. It just didn't make sense to me for him not to have it. And he's climbed through the ranks so quickly, so fast. He needed it. And Almas has now transcended. He can move on.
And I certainly want to see how that reaction came across on TV, but he definitely got a hero's reaction, the reaction you would expect him to get, and he seemed to bask in it, and he seemed to have the moment he's deserved. But he even got a "You deserve it" chant, which is becoming quite a common chant at this point.
There was a couple of chants that were just odd tonight, but as to be expected with the WrestleMania crowd. Like fuck you, Ciampa.
Oh man, if we're getting into Ciampa, I have never been in a crowd with somebody that had that kind of nuclear heat.
Oh my god, they hated him.
I was not in the arena last year after Reigns came out on Raw the night after he beat The Undertaker.
I feel like that's what it probably felt like.
There's no way that crowd wasn't close at least to that kind of reaction. The boos were so loud. I've never heard just straight booing for somebody like that, especially a heel in this era where people love to cheer the heel. And I was ready to cheer Ciampa. I like Ciampa. I think his character's been great, but like by the time he gets to the ring, you're kind of like, you're getting behind it. You're starting to feel this hatred in the air for this man that's just...
And I was cheering Ciampa purely for the fact that I thought they were going a different route than they actually did. I thought that he was supposed to win, and he was going to beat down Gargano, and Gargano would go to Maine. But they didn't do that. They had Gargano win, and so now he's still in NXT. So...
And that match...
I guess they could ignore that and just send him up to Maine anyways.
It's true. I think they'll both be on Maine before long. Possibly 205 Live.
I feel like they're going to have a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens type chemistry where they're going to get brought up together and have like that eternal feud / friendship between the two of them.
Either way, now with the unexpected result of Gargano still in NXT, these two are definitely not done with each other.
No.
That was not their last match.
No.
Although...
And it probably, again, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, it is probably not going to be their last match.
Although I don't see how they can ever top this match.
They could. It'd be
How long do you think they went? I didn't time from the beginning.
I didn't time it. I know we were already past the last
went
hour.
Over 30 minutes. I know that. Possibly 40 to 45.
I'm thinking 45, 50 minutes.
It definitely went way longer than I expected.
I maintained myself. I still wanted Ciampa to win. Like, I don't know what it is about Gargano. I don't hate him as a wrestler. He's a great wrestler. I don't even really hate him for his personality either. I don't hate him. I shouldn't say I hate him. But I dislike some of the things about him. It's probably mostly his personality, but I can't pinpoint it. But Ciampa, I really like the way he's been portraying himself.
I love his old
dick.
school heel mentality.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to do the things that heels won't do anymore. He'll mess with the crowd more than any heel will. He will get in people's faces.
And that nickname, Psycho Killer, and when you looked at his face, he looks like a fucking psycho killer.
Oh, you look him in the eyes and you believe he would kill someone.
Yeah.
Which played into the end of this match in a strange way, though.
Mm-hmm.
With Johnny Gargano, like, almost attempting murder.
Yeah.
Like...
He had a busted up crutch that I'm assuming would have been sharp. We couldn't get a good view of it.
You were pretty far away, but he takes a crutch. And you think he's going to hit him over the head with it or something. And instead he breaks it in half. And now he's got a sharp end of it. And he threatens to hit Ciampa with it.
With the sharp end forward.
But of course, Gargano being the babyface stops.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you think, oh yes, Ciampa's coming back. Gargano just lost.
Yeah.
His emotions got the best of it.
Ciampa swings, Gargano ducks, puts him in the Gargano escape.
That ending sequence.
But yeah, we lost that one because we both said Ciampa. So we lost the Ciampa Gargano match and the 6-man ladder match. Everything else we matched on. But you ended up with more confidence points than I did at... What was it again? I wrote it down. You had 9, I had 7.
I guess it came down to, as much as I thought Ciampa had a good chance of winning, I knew that was very much a toss-up. And while it seemed like they were playing up Johnny getting moved up, I knew there was a good chance that they wanted to continue that feud and that Johnny wasn't done.
Honestly, it more so laid in the fact that I was really confident in Ciampa. That was where I faltered, because he got my mid-ground point of 3, and then Baszler got 4, and Black and Almas. I gave Black 2, but that was where I faulted. And I only did that with Black just because I really wasn't sure what they would do. It could have gone anywhere between the two of them, as far as I was concerned. But where I faulted most was I was really confident with Ciampa, and you were less confident about it.
No, we talked like any of us won and lost. The whole crowd there that night, anybody watching TakeOver won. Now, we were there, so very biased. I would love to go back and watch TakeOver soon. Not tonight. No. Way too exhausted. But that is definitely in the top TakeOvers ever. Like, that was that whole TakeOver. There was not a single match that did not excite me, get me on my feet. Even when I thought I was too tired to jump back on my feet for more matches, they found more ways to get me excited.
I was the same way. I was spaced out at one point, and I still popped up.
Especially when they went a whole hour past what you think. What TakeOver has gone 3 hours? They've barely gone past 2.
I don't think any TakeOver has gone to 3 hours.
The last TakeOver went 2 hours, like 20 minutes, and that was like, wow, they went way over.
Yeah. Now,
So when this one was going on like 2 hours, 10 minutes, and Gargano hadn't even come to the ring yet, you knew something was up.
It was either going to be a super short match, or it was going to go on probably for another hour. And it didn't.
I'm glad it went the latter.
But with that, we'll move on to our WrestleMania predictions. So it's the next day. WrestleMania's today.
And even with this card, they've got some big shoes to fill after that show last night.
I don't think they're going to fill it, but we'll try. Let's try to get through these pretty quick.
14 matches.
13 potentially, 14 potentially matches.
13, 14 at that point.
So start off with Lesnar and Reigns. Who you got, why, and how many confidence points?
Oh man, all my confidence points are on this match. We all know they've had this plan for 3 years. Oh man, they're the two people that broke the streak. Oh, they're going to face each other. Oh, everyone's going to love Reigns now that he finally beats Lesnar. You know, the big fireworks and the big celebration. Yeah, Reigns is winning this match.
Yeah.
Tell me differently.
I'm the same. Like, Reigns, all 14 confidence points on Reigns. The exact same reasons why. He's the chosen one. Nobody wants him, but he's the chosen one. Now, so let's just move on past Lesnar Reigns, because everyone knows what.
At least it'll be a good match.
It'll be a good match.
Unless Lesnar is in the zone he was in Goldberg, what was that, 14 years ago?
Which he might, because...
Which he might be, but at the same time, I don't think he's the same Lesnar that wants to burn a bridge like he did back then. I think he wants to have the option to come back. So I think he'll still put on a good show. We know Lesnar can wrestle. We know Reigns can wrestle. We're going to get a good match. Even if we don't like the result.
How about Styles and Nakamura?
Speaking of a good match.
Who you got? How many confidence points and why?
I almost forgot how many confidence points I put on this. I only put 5 points on this. I'm not very sure of this match, but I'm going with Styles. Reason being, Styles has been, we all know, phenomenal, for lack of a better word. He's one of my favorites, and as much as I really want Nakamura to win, I do think it'd be great for Nakamura to win. Just seeing how they've booked him up until the last 2 weeks, I don't believe it. I don't think they believe in him as their champion.
I feel like they want to try to mimic what happened at Wrestle Kingdom, and that had Nakamura win. So I feel like they want to mimic that and then continue it. So they want Nakamura to win this, and then eventually Styles will get over on Nakamura. So that's why I put Shinsuke over with 9 confidence points. A little over mid-ground.
I will say this is going to be one of those matches where I'm cheering both guys. Whoever wins, I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
they both deserve to be champion. They're both fantastic wrestlers.
Yeah, I don't care who wins this. It's going to be a great match.
Funny note, I think Styles is cursed when he faces Nakamura. Back in Wrestle Kingdom, he was nursing a back injury, and then all these rumors that he's nursing a knee injury right now. Don't think he's allowed to face Nakamura without some kind of nagging injury.
How about Angle and Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon?
Okay, I put a lot of confidence points on this. How many was it? Oh yeah, that was my 13. Ronda Rousey's not losing her first match, and the last thing we saw was her getting slammed through a table by Stephanie McMahon, which should be the last time we see Ronda Rousey selling for Stephanie McMahon, hopefully. Either way, whether she sells or not, she's tapping Stephanie McMahon out to an armbar.
I put Angle and Rousey over it as well. A little less confident, 12 points, but I mean, I don't think they're gonna job Rousey out. But if they did, it has storyline potential, and knowing the McMahons, maybe.
We all know that Triple H has that ego.
I don't think Triple H would have that sort of ego over on the female wrestlers, though, but Stephanie.
And Kurt Angle, though.
Yeah. Triple H would want to get over on Kurt.
That's the sad part about this match, too. This is Kurt Angle's first WrestleMania in over 10 years. It's like, it's just kind of gone under the bridge. He's only gotten a little bit of offense in to hype up this match. They're not hyping this match.
He kind of feels like a joke. He's not. I know he's not, but he feels like it.
I hope he can still go. I think he can. I think he will.
So, move on down to Charlotte versus Asuka.
This is going to be great. I put 12 confidence points on this. I don't believe they're breaking the streak in this match. There's a chance the streak can be broken later on that night, but we'll get to that later. I don't think Charlotte's breaking the streak. They want Asuka to go over. They want her to be the champion. They want her to win, have that moment.
Oh, I put Asuka over as well, 13 confidence points. But I don't think they're going to break the streak. I don't even think they're going to try to break the streak tonight. I think the reports that I've heard is what they're going to try to do. They're going to have Asuka take the title, and she's going to hold on to it until next year when she faces Rousey for it. But then we got a bonus point on this for a Money in the Bank cash-in. Does Carmella cash in?
We both have some very different ideas of whether she's going to cash in or not and who she's going to cash in on. But I think we both agree that she's probably going to at least try tonight.
Yes.
And we both agree that Adele is probably going to ring. Whether it's successful or not, she's going to get a match. I think she's going to cash in after Asuka Charlotte. It could go either way. We could have Asuka looking strong, beating two people after a long match. But I think we're in the same building where they broke a shocking streak 4 years ago. I think they go for a similar reaction here. They make a mega heel out of Carmella, who comes in and beats a beat-up Asuka, because you know they don't like streaks. You know they feel like that holds them down, and they have to have Asuka win every match.
I still feel like they want Rousey to take it next year, and then they could turn Rousey into that mega heel, because then the streak would be more powerful. Well, I'll be sick of it at that point, but I do think Carmella's going to cash in. If she cashes in on Charlotte or Asuka, I think she's losing. She won't win the belt. But since it's the first Money in the Bank briefcase for the women, I'm thinking that they want her to win this. And the only way I can see them having her win this is to cash in on a Raw champion after Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. So I think if I had to say which one she's going for, I'm going to say she's going after Raw, if she's going for anyone at all. But then we have Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Who you got? How many confidence points and why?
I forget how many confidence points. I've got 8 confidence points on this match. And I keep hearing kind of like Ronda Rousey's not going to lose her first match. Daniel Bryan's not going to lose his first match back. Disagree. I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are winning, and I think it's because Shane McMahon turns on Daniel Bryan. As much as that would make no sense for him to actually want Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to keep their jobs, I think this tension they've had for months and months and months, this storyline that never seems to end between the two, is going to come to a head. Shane's going to turn on Daniel Bryan.
I'm the same way. I think Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, with 6 confidence points, I'm not as confident about it. But they're... And I think that it's going to be the same way. Shane is going to turn heel. They'll find some stupid reason as to why. Kind of like how they blamed Survivor Series on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn when it made no sense to do so. But that's pretty much it.
Besides, with Shane in this match, he's hurt. He had surgery less than 2 weeks ago, and even if it's less severe than they've been making it seem,
he shouldn't be wrestling.
He's not going to be wrestling much, so what's the point in having him in this match? Well, you have a storyline planned for him.
Mm-hmm.
You want him to turn, and that's how the match is going to end.
What about Miz, Rollins, and Balor?
This one was a toss-up and took me a long time to decide. And I still put 6 confidence points on it. I think they're going to finally give it to Balor. Although, it's not my prediction, I could see The Miz winning this match.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he might be leaving for a little bit for his baby, he might not be gone as long as everyone thinks he is.
I think if he loses it, if he wins it, he's winning it and then losing it tomorrow.
I could also see that. I think we both, at the very least, 100% agree Rollins is not winning this match.
No, I put Balor also with 8 confidence points because I'm pretty confident after last Raw, him losing clean, and then he's probably going to bring out the Demon just because he lost clean as Finn Balor.
I think that's probably the best option for him to lose clean, and then you don't even have to announce it. You surprise everyone. You have him come out last, and you hit that heartbeat, and the crowd's going to pop.
Yeah. So then, let's go down to something we are disagreeing on. Randall Keith Orton versus Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal versus Rusev.
Now, everyone wants it to be Rusev Day at WrestleMania, and while it may be for a little bit, I don't think Rusev walks out with a victory. With only 4 confidence points, though, I think it's time. Roode has been on the main roster, and his only character is that he likes the word glorious. But we all know that Roode is a fantastic heel. We saw what he can do in NXT. I think it's time for him to turn heel, whether that means aligning with Jinder to help him win, or that means whatever it means. I think Roode's winning this match, turning heel, and he's going to have a heel run with the US title.
I'm picking Rusev. I'm going Rusev Day on this. I'm going half in on confidence points, so 7. But I feel like this is going to be Rusev's time to finally come back to prominence. And also, people were giving him a babyface reception. This would be his babyface coronation.
You know, for the first time on SmackDown, he was booked as a babyface. He faced Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, but they haven't done an official turn. And they are probably, if he's going to win it this time, he's probably going to get the official turn now.
We know there's not going to be a single person at going booing Rusev.
No,
so
no, not on.
They can't keep trying to pretend like he's going to be a heel.
So, how about DeBar versus Braun Strowman, and we don't know who?
Well, this was a toss-up too. I went back and forth a lot, but in the end, I went back to Strowman. I think Strowman and whoever he picks is going to beat DeBar. I think that sets up a strong opponent for Authors of Pain to come in and destroy. That's my prediction. Strowman is winning this match. He's winning the titles, but he's not going to hold it for very long.
Who do you think is his partner?
I went out on a limb here. I know they've got to have a big surprise up their sleeve. And I don't think it's going to be any of the names that have leaked, because they don't want that. They wouldn't have waited till WrestleMania if they wanted that. So I think, maybe, just maybe, that Jeff Hardy is going to be his partner. And because it's not going to be a long tag team run, that will lead to a pretty quick split, and then Jeff Hardy can go on to do singles things, because we all know that he's going to have a singles run.
I put at 5 confidence points Braun Strowman, and I feel like because of the injury Sheamus is going through right now, Strowman's probably going to take it, and who I put for his partner is somebody who physicality-wise is similar to him and is also reported to come back from injury here soon. That's Big Cass. And then once they break up, I mean, they love their monster-on-monster feuds. So that would be a Cass versus Strowman thing.
That could be quite a feud.
Yeah. So that's who I went with, but we were talking about this earlier. How about Bliss and Jax?
Bliss and Jax. Now, I have 9 confidence points on Jax winning this match. Jax has actually been winning me over recently. It took a while. I was not a fan. Did not like her. I did not buy her as the monster. And she's still got a little ways to go, but I think she's getting there. And this is her time, especially. It'd be a bad idea for the way they've been doing this bullying storyline to end, and Alexa Bliss still getting the win.
They've done it before.
They've done it before. I can see it. But I heard it compared to Triple H versus Booker T back in the day.
That's what I was about to say.
And I think the same thing. You'd have mega heat, but is that the kind of heat you want?
Yeah, that's like super villain heat, like not even super villain, like Kim Jong-un heat.
Yeah. But this, especially the era we're in today, that's a fine line they're treading, and it's already been. I think it's been fine. I've enjoyed this storyline, but there's already been many people that don't like this storyline.
The only reason I wouldn't be okay with it is if Jax is being forced into it and she didn't greenlight all the things that have been said about her.
I agree, and I doubt they would do something like that. But for her to lose would be just not the way this match should end.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Jax at 11 confidence points. Just same reasons you've already said. You know, I didn't like her at all for a long time, and she's finally won me over.
I think one of the first times she won me over was that Raw, and even though they completely flipped on this storyline has been all over the place. But that Raw that she had Alexa Bliss on her shoulders, and then out of nowhere you see Jack's face go straight, just stone face, and she drops Alexa Bliss, and that made me pop a little bit. I liked it.
It made me pop, but that was so long ago. Like, they were just pretending that didn't even happen because it wasn't long before they got back together.
It was like 2 weeks and they were back together like it never happened.
Yeah. How about the cruiserweights? We're going down on the pre-show. We got Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali.
Oh man, I was kind of sad these two were on the pre-show, but I thought about it. There's only 3 matches on the pre-show. They're going to have a lot of time, which that's going to be a positive.
Unless the Battle Royals take up all the time.
Of course, and there's that chance. You know how they treat the cruiserweights. Regardless, this match is a toss-up. If you had asked me a couple months ago, I would have thought it's Alexander's time. It's been his time. It was his title to win off of Enzo. However, the way they've built this up, and the way Ali has built himself up, it's Ali's time. I think Ali is going to win this match.
I'm going with Cedric Alexander just purely because I haven't kept up with the cruiserweights as much as I should have, and I've always liked Cedric Alexander, and the whole please sign Cedric thing during the Cruiserweight Classic, like, they obviously hold him in high regards, and if he was supposed to take the title off, I feel like they were hoping to give him the title at one point, and this may be the time.
This is another one of those matches on the card where I'm just going to have trouble not cheering both people. It's hard to choose between these two. They're both so good, but Ali's won me over with his promos. His promo work recently has been fantastic, and Cedric Alexander still has a ways to go. He's a little boring on the mic, but both of their in-ring work is going to be a fantastic match.
So the next one, Usos versus the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. We actually have completely identical with 10 confidence points, Bludgeon Brothers.
It's their time. They've been around for so long, and even though this new gimmick is so hokey with the hammers and the fruit roll-up suits,
it's so fun.
It's fun, their entrance is fun, and these two have a chemistry in the ring together.
Their theme song, too. I love their theme song so much.
They've only improved since being on the main roster, especially since, I hate to say it, dropping Bray Wyatt has been great for their career, it seems. And
maybe they should add Bray back on so that they can elevate Bray's career.
Hopefully down the road, Bray needs some help somewhere. We'll see where that goes in the future, though.
Well, he has just been resurrected. We don't know how, but he has.
It is absolutely the Bludgeon Brothers' time, though. Yeah. They've been built up, and somehow they've never been champion before, so...
Well, they haven't been around that long, unless you're counting their...
I'm counting since they've been with the Wyatts.
Okay.
The Wyatt family had all the makings of having tag team champions.
Yeah.
It's their time.
I feel like it's their time, too. Like, it just, especially with their beatdown, just like completely taking out the Usos and the New Day, it wouldn't make sense for them not to take the title after destroying all the others.
This is clearly going to be a fun match.
How about the Women's WrestleMania History Battle History Royal?
History, win the uterus trophy. I have 2 confidence points on this because there's a few people that at least stick out in my head as being possibilities, but clearly have no idea. I went with Becky Lynch. She's kind of been floating in obscurity on SmackDown, and I know they want to do something with her. I know they like Becky Lynch. So, as much as nobody's really done much when they win these battle royals, I think this could be a way to jumpstart her a little bit, at least. Get her name back out there. Remind people she still exists.
I feel like they won't go with Lynch. I really want them to go with Lynch. But I feel like they won't, specifically because of the backstage crap they have against her accent. Like, they don't want to put her in any sort of spotlight because of that. And I looked up the confirmed participants in the Battle Royal just to get an idea of who's going to be there. And when I saw Dana Brooke, she looked like the kind of person that they're going to have win this. Just, I know she's crap, but they had Baron Corbin win the Andre last year.
And to your credit, they have also tried so many times to push Dana Brooke for no good reason, and I can see you being right.
Yeah.
They could try again.
And I feel like this is going to be their attempt at kickstarting Dana's career, and it actually is just going to backfire like all the other Battle Royal winners have.
I guess we'll see how she does as a babyface, though, because it seems like that's the direction they're going with her, whether she wins this or not.
How about the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal?
Oh man, I have no clue. And I saw a name that popped out. It made me laugh. Kurt Hawkins is going to break his losing streak in the Battle Royal at WrestleMania. What a way to break your losing streak.
I don't think they're going to have him break his streak.
I only have one confidence point on this, but...
I have two on Apollo Crews. Crews can't lose. You know? It was the same thing when I looked at the participants, when I saw Apollo Crews, him, Titus Worldwide, it just made sense that they were going to try to kickstart this career off to restart it, and it's just going to backfire like all the others have. That's all I can really say.
See, you say Crews can't lose, but you forget he's just Apollo now.
No, they gave him Crews back.
Did they?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, after the whole controversy stuff died down, they started calling him Apollo Crews again.
Okay, that's good, because saying just Apollo, as much as we've gotten used to the other name changes, that one was awkward.
Yeah. Now, the last one, first off, is it happening? Cena versus Taker.
I think they're going to have a match. Now, I could see them going with some kind of short brawl or something, but they're going to get physical. And in my opinion, I do think it will be a bell-to-bell match. Mm-hmm. I have Taker winning this match, assuming there is a match. I have a lot of confidence points on Taker winning this match. I have 11 points because he's lost 2 in a row, and they can't put Cena over him for a 3rd loss in a row. Don't do that to us. Unless they make it a career match last second, they can't put Cena over him.
The dead man or the badass?
So I think they love that entrance. I love that entrance. We all love that entrance.
I want to see that entrance.
I would love to see that entrance. And maybe this is a little bit of my heart speaking because of how bad I want to see that entrance. But I think, even though he's probably going to come back with a little bit more of a human side to him, he's probably going to be more personable, less death and destruction, rest in peace. I think he's going to come out to the music. He's going to walk down the ramp, nice and slow. Even though they're inducting Kid Rock in the Hall of Fame, that's not the person you have play into the ring if you're going to go with one of his old badass themes.
No, you keep rolling.
You'd have to bring Fred Durst back.
I want him to be the dead man, because that's, when you think the dead man, or when you think the Undertaker, you think the dead man. The badass was around for a couple of years, and it just, I wasn't watching at the time, but from the people that were, it just didn't feel right to them.
See, I'm torn on this, because as a child, when I started watching, before I ever even really got invested in it, I knew The Undertaker as the motorcycle guy, the guy that came out on the motorcycle and beat people up. I didn't care that much about wrestling, but that's who I knew. Mm-hmm. And then he got buried alive, and then he came back as the dead man. And that's the reason I became a fan. That interested me. I was like, who is this crazy zombie guy coming back from the dead? And people smack him and he just no-sells it. And of course, as a kid, like, it was more real to me. It felt so cool, and it's the reason I'm a fan. So while it would be cool to see the first Undertaker I ever knew, I would rather see the Undertaker that made me a fan.
I would rather see the dead man, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think he's coming back as the badass, and I don't want it, but I think it's happening. Now, you have 11 confidence on Taker. I have 3 confidence points on Taker, specifically because Taker's old school. And this is assuming that the match is happening, but Taker's old school, and old school guys would lay on their backs on the way out to get the younger guys the rub. And I know Cena's not exactly younger. I mean, he's younger than Taker, but he's not young. But he could give the rub to Cena, and then Cena could give the Taker rub to somebody else later on.
Ha ha ha, LOL, Cena wins.
Yeah. So, but on the flip side of that, old school mentalities have kind of died out. When you retire, you win. You get one last hurrah, and you leave. Not always, but you know, it used to be you're leaving, you lay on your back and you retire. It hasn't been the same since then. So I'm torn between the two of them. I think Taker's gonna win, but I'm not very confident in it.
You know, final note that was pointed out to me, in the event this becomes a career match. It's kind of interesting because Shawn Michaels ended Ric Flair's career. Mm-hmm. The Undertaker ended Shawn Michaels' career. And now there's rumors that this could be a retirement match, or even, what if they go 2 matches like Shawn Michaels? Is there this chain of, like, if you end somebody's career, your career has to be ended by somebody?
That'd be interesting.
I kind of like this idea, but, like, I don't want it to be this year. If they are going to do a career match, if it's going to be Cena, whoever it's going to be, go a 2-part series. Bring it next year.
Yep. Alright, so, with that said, we have a long-ass fucking show to get through.
Man, I was wiped by the end of TakeOver last night, and it was half the length.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have no voice. Like, this podcast is just gonna be...
My throat already hurts.
Well, we'll see what happens next time on WrestleMania. Alright. I'm not even gonna bother going through with all the confidence points again this time. Just let it be known that I did fucking terribly, and you won.
I wouldn't say I won, because I did great on these predictions. I don't think either was predicted super well.
You got out with 5 confidence points. I got out with negative 15. So
5 confidence points isn't a lot, because you had 14, 15. Well, I'm not going to do that, but it's not. We didn't do very well.
Well, you did better than I did. So in this competition, you won the title. So we'll run down the card. Oh my god, I'm still not recovered from last night.
And I'm not going to be recovered for weeks.
No, me either. So we started out with the armbar, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and both of us did not predict this correctly.
My pick was thrown out like second. That's fine.
I'm looking here at it now. He was third out. Kurt Hawkins was third out. My guy, Apollo, made it a lot further, but nowhere near being able to get to the end. But Matt Hardy won it with the assist from Woken Wyatt.
Yeah, it was a fun surprise. I was expecting some surprise entrance, before the random appearance of Wyatt. So it's kind of disappointing that we just got everybody blobbed down to the ring at once.
Yeah. I wanted to see some entrances. I wanted to see Matt Hardy's entrance, but I have a feeling we're going to see that tonight at Raw. I've wanted to see a Bray Wyatt fucking entrance forever, and I'm probably not going to get it.
He's probably going to come out with Matt Hardy, to Matt Hardy's theme.
But at the very least, I saw him live now, which I guess that'll be good enough, because I saw him do a couple moves, I saw him in person. Every time I've wanted to see him prior to this, they've always thrown him on the Tron. So I guess this is a step above.
And maybe this is attributed to being the opening match and everyone was excited. But Bray Wyatt got a pretty good reaction. People popped for him. People popped for him posing with Matt, and they're hugging. And
I popped hard, but it's just I like Bray a lot. I understand he hasn't been booked the way he's supposed to be, but I've always liked him. And I've wanted them to do far greater things with him than what they have. But the next matchup was for the Cruiserweight title. Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali, and Alexander made off with the title.
One of my wrong predictions, but this one was always a toss-up. And, as expected, a pretty good match. Maybe not a blow-away match that we were expecting.
No.
They weren't given a huge amount of time. But either way, it was a good match. They got a pretty good reaction. Better reaction than they've obviously gotten after SmackDown every week.
Yeah, well, they were put on ahead of everything else instead of after.
They were given a warm crowd for once.
Yeah. Like, I have a feeling if this was towards the end of the card, as we'll talk about it a little bit later, that there would have been massive burnout for that match.
If that had been on the main card, it probably would have been in one of the cooldown spots, which now being there live would not have been great for them.
Well, even some of the stuff you were supposed to be hyped for in the crowd, we were all just tired. So, even the hype matches didn't get hype sometimes. But then we had the historic WrestleMania history, women's historic battle, historical royal.
For the first time ever.
Historic.
First time.
First time history.
Historic first time.
This was actually way better than I thought it would be. We had the NXT girls standing tall towards the beginning of it, got a nice little NXT pop for them. Eventually boiled down between Sasha and Bayley. And then as they were going to shake hands, Bayley just chucked Sasha Banks out of the ring, and everyone thought Bayley had won. And then Naomi slinks back in and just throws Bayley, and Naomi wins. It did fantastic because they managed to get some storyline progression out of Sasha and Bayley, while also giving another star a big spotlight.
Yeah, this match, I thought this Battle Royal was a lot more fun than the men's Battle Royal. My only couple of issues with it, and they're small things, it was a lot of fun. I don't know who's telling the women in their Battle Royals that they need to lay outside the ring and slink under the bottom rope, but it makes it really confusing in the midst of all these matches, like the Royal Rumble too. You just don't know who's in.
It was probably easier to tell from with commentary, because they're probably like, oh, she just got eliminated. For us, we didn't have commentary. But
which did help for us on the surprise of Naomi, although I'm sure that was still a surprise on TV.
Yeah.
My only other issue is this match ended with a good 10 minutes to go, which when it was just Sasha and Bayley in the ring, and I looked at the time, I thought, oh, for sure, this is how they're going to give them at least a few minutes to go out there and have a match, since we didn't get that singles match we were all expecting.
Yeah.
And no, Bayley, within 30 seconds, tosses Sasha Banks over the top rope.
I would have enjoyed seeing a match, but it was still storyline progression, so I gotta give him props on that. But that ended our pre-show excursion, and then we went on for like 10 more matches. And we're going on to the Intercontinental Championship match with Seth Rollins versus The Miz, Finn Balor, and Seth Rollins took the title. And I distinctly remember both of us saying Seth Rollins has no chance in hell.
Well, I thought for sure, yeah, there was no way Seth Rollins was winning. And of course, they could switch the Intercontinental title with the U.S. title, but I've heard time and time again, Seth Rollins is going to Raw, or SmackDown. Seth Rollins is going to SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So to see him take the title was, pleasant surprise. I like Rollins, and he's been doing nothing for quite a long time. So
see, the problem was, like, our prediction of Balor severely hinged on him coming out as the Demon. I feel like if he was the Demon, that would have been like, yes, he's getting the title. And being in the crowd, we all thought he was going to come out as the Demon.
Well, they sent the champion out second, leaving
so
Balor for last. So we all thought for sure they're saving something big for Balor. That's why they're waiting.
And then it just popped. They just popped his music, and he came out, and he was just normal Balor.
Gay pride Balor.
Yeah, didn't even have any of his cool winning colors on, like Finn Bluer and and red Balor and gray Balor. Nothing. It was just Balor.
I will also say from the cheap seats, it was very hard to tell what in the world that entrance was supposed to be.
Yeah, I had no idea.
It just looked like a small blob of people at the entranceway cheering him on.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but we gotta watch it back eventually.
I will say too, apparently on TV, you all didn't get the cool pyro burst for Seth Rollins during his entrance.
Yeah.
But when they said burn it down, we didn't just get the lame animation that you usually get. We actually got a bunch of flames shooting out of the stage.
And the flames were fucking hot.
And every time they shot flames out of that stage from the cheap seats, we were sweating.
Like, it was warm to us, and I can't imagine what it would have been like to be right next, like in the back row on the floor, closest to the fireworks. That must have been fucking boiling. You probably lost some hairs if you were there. But no, they actually, that was like our first indicator of having pyro for wrestlers. We had pyro to start up the show, but that was the first pyro for a wrestler, was Seth Rollins.
And you forget how much a bunch of explosions can make people start cheering and yelling.
Oh yeah. And then we had the match that proved that New Orleans is where streaks go to die. Charlotte versus Asuka, and Asuka tapped out.
Obviously, we predicted Asuka to win this match, like most people. Yeah, in the back of my mind, I thought I wouldn't put it past them to end the streak with Charlotte, but that's as far as that thought went. I wouldn't put it past them, but I doubt it. There's no way they wouldn't do that. But
I figured if they were going to do it, they were going to do it later, not now.
They did it.
Yeah. Because I always had like this dream scenario in my head that Asuka would continue this streak, would take the SmackDown title, and then would take the Raw title and hold both of them before her streak ends and loses both of them. But I guess that's not happening now.
The match itself was fantastic.
It was great.
Hanging on to every near fall.
And since everyone had it in their head that Asuka was winning, when she tapped, it was a what the fuck experience. Like that Undertaker drop mouth guy, that was me during Asuka.
I popped to my feet. Didn't really know how to react. I will say the last few seconds of that submission, I was starting to get nervous. They did leave that submission on long enough to make me think, oh man, she might actually, and by the time you get the thought in your head that she might actually tap,
what it was she put in the figure 4, which then she arced her back to make it the figure 8. I believe that's what it is.
Yes.
And
not a lot of people have gotten out of.
No,
right? In the middle of the ring.
The only time people have gotten out of that is when somebody's helped them to get out of it. And I was sitting there thinking, all right, this is either, like, the thought popped in my head that she is either gonna be one of the first to get out on her own, or this is it for the streak. And as soon as I thought that, she tapped.
I liked the feel-good moment afterwards, but didn't make Asuka look too much better either. It looked good for Charlotte.
Yeah.
It was a good feel-good moment for them to put it out.
I honestly don't think a loss to Charlotte makes Asuka feel any less significant. Yeah, she doesn't have the mystique of the streak anymore, but I think that doesn't damage Asuka at all to lose to Charlotte.
No, I just hope their track record with their Japanese stars isn't super great. And we'll get to a little bit more of that later, which does have some hope to it. But either way, I'm nervous for Asuka. I hope this still means good things for Asuka. I hope this means a continuation of this feud, more Charlotte-Asuka matches.
Oh, yeah.
That was a fantastic match.
Well, one of them has to get drafted for that, probably Asuka. But then we had, for the United States title, Randy Orton versus Bob Roode versus Rusev versus Jinder Mahal. And Mahal won the United States title. Now, I will say, I did not want Jinder to win. I never want Jinder to win. He's boring to me. But on the plus side, he was not ready for the WWE title when they gave that to him. He's probably way more ready for the mid-card US title. And now that I'm willing to give him a chance, I said that when he got the WWE title as well. I'm willing to give him a chance, and then he flubbed it. But with the mid-card title, I'm willing to give him another chance, and I feel like he can do better with the mid-card title than he can the top title.
Honestly, he leaves a bad taste in my mouth after his world title run. But my upsetness for him winning, if that's the word, wasn't necessarily oh, not again. It was honestly more so just the heel won kind of thing, which isn't necessarily a bad reaction to have two heel winning.
No. My reaction was more based off the fact of I don't want another stint of having Jinder on TV every week. And it's still kind of baffling that they're still kind of quashing Rusev and Rusev Day. But I guess it'll be his time later on, hopefully.
This match also had the unfortunate spot following the streak ending.
Yeah.
And the only big reaction there was Rusev's entrance. Even Rusev's big spots during the match weren't getting much of a reaction.
No, it was a cool-down match because everyone was all up in arms about Asuka losing the streak. But then we had, I would say, one of the matches of the night, if not the match of the night, which was surprising. Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, and
this match shocked me, and not for
Rousey and
reasons
Angle won.
It should have. I would have thought if this was going to be a good match, it's because, Kurt Angle does still got it. He went out there, Triple H and him went out, put on a classic. After seeing every time Ronda got physical on Raw, I had no hope. I figured they'd have some good choreographed spots for her. She'd have some good spots. But overall, she wasn't going to put on some great performance. That was going to be on Triple H and Kurt.
She's a fucking natural.
She went in there, I'm sure they did rehearse all of this, but it was fast-paced, it was exciting, it was fun, she looked good.
She kicked the shit out of Triple H, made him look like a bitch for a little while.
Almost made Triple H tap out. I thought Triple H was going to tap out.
It would have been phenomenal if they actually made Triple H tap out to Ronda Rousey. That would have been the biggest rub Triple H, I think, would have given to anyone at that point.
I love the point in the match when the ref was trying to tell Triple H that, men and women can't fight. Come on, what are you doing? And Triple H just backed the ref into the corner and just kind of gave him a little pat. Like, hi, I'm your boss, and I'm going to do what I want now.
I wonder if the TV audience was able to hear what Triple H said. But we couldn't. But
we didn't hear it, but we got the message.
Yeah. The message was sent across, but I'd like to hear what he said to this ref. And I don't know if the cameras picked it up or not. But
and I liked that from that point on, it wasn't just the ref didn't stop the women and the men from getting involved. It really just turned into a tornado tag at that point.
Yeah, it wasn't a mixed tag anymore. It wasn't 1-on-1 and then 1-on-1. It was a tornado tag. You had Ronda going up against Triple H, and you had Kurt Angle putting Stephanie in the ankle lock. It was nice.
I also thought it was clever because everyone thought it was going to end, especially when they did this spot with Kurt has Triple H in the ankle lock, Ronda has Stephanie in the armbar, and both tap out simultaneously. The cliche ending, we've seen it with tag team matches, and they do that spot, but then they got out of it, and they make you doubt how the match was going to end.
I kind of wanted that. Like, it would have been a nice little visual, but what we got was probably better. But in the moment, I did want that.
And Kurt looked good. We got all like Kurt's good spots, which for me, Kurt was one of my favorites when I was little, so that was fun too.
And then I had a bathroom break, and went to the bathroom, and there was a line, and then I heard, oh, and I was like, I gotta go back. It's Bludgeon Brothers are coming out. I gotta go. So I've foregone my bathroom break just to come back and see the Bludgeon Brothers, and we had New Day versus the Usos versus the Bludgeon Brothers, and the Bludgeon Brothers got out with the titles.
I'm happy with the result. I don't think it's just the placement of this match where this match suffered. This match overall, looking back, even wasn't that great. They weren't given a lot of time.
No.
We've seen all of these guys put on better performances, and I don't think it's necessarily on them. It's really, they weren't given much time to do much.
And not just, like, we've seen Usos and New Day put on fucking clinics, and I don't think the addition of the Bludgeon Brothers brought this down at all. I think it was just the way it was booked.
No, it wasn't. It was booked to be a cool-down match. It wasn't booked to get anyone excited, which is sad because this match had a lot of potential. But
yeah, well, with the Bludgeon Brothers with the titles now, maybe there's some attention that will come their way. But
I do think we get some good Uso Bludgeon Brothers matches.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited for those.
It would also be fun to get Bludgeon Brothers New Day as well, because if you think back to when the Bludgeon Brothers were the Wyatt family, the kind of mind games that they were playing with Xavier Woods was really interesting, and then they did the Superstar Shakeup and tore that feud apart, and everyone was just upset about that.
And you know, something about the pairing of Luke Harper Big E just sounds like a fun match.
Oh yeah, but we forgot to mention, because it's not on the card, we're just running down the card, but earlier, a couple matches earlier, actually right after Charlotte and Asuka, ref came running down to ringside, hopped the barricade, got into John Cena's ear, who was at ringside this whole time, and we actually saw him get up and go to the bathroom or get a beer a couple of times, and everyone lost their minds.
Oh man, you'd hear people losing their minds, and you'd see a blob of security just pretty quickly moving.
Well, because Cena was running.
Yeah, he was down on the floor, and they would be running off to the end, and then once again you'd hear the insane reactions, and you hear that blob of security, you'd see them all coming back.
But this ref came down and got in Cena's ear, and again, I don't know if the cameras picked up on what the ref was saying, but for us, we couldn't hear it. But Cena gave a real curious face, and everyone knew what was being said, and he hopped the barricade and ran to the back. And
I actually did have a young fan that didn't really know much about what was going on. You couldn't hear it because he was very confused as to why Cena was running to the back.
Okay.
He was like, what was the ref saying?
Okay.
But of course, anyone that's been watching the past few weeks had a pretty good idea of what that meant.
So he ran to the back, but then he came out later in his ring gear finally. Ring gear, I say. He just changed his shirt and hat.
He's wearing a brighter shirt than he was earlier.
And then he came out, and then they did the ding, ding, ding. This match is scheduled for one fall. And we're all like, wait, they're not even going to build this?
And Cena doesn't even grab a mic.
No. And then Cena's sitting there, he's waiting, and then the lights go out, and we all lose our fucking minds. And then you hear the strum of a guitar, and it's Elias.
Hello, I am Elias.
And that was the best way to get him nuclear fucking heat.
Elias is good at getting himself heat. I've heard him get great heat. This was something else.
I usually like Elias a lot, and in the grand scheme of things, I like what they did with him, but in the moment, I hated his fucking guts.
My only issue with what they did with him here, and just fast forwards a little bit, Elias does his whole concert thing, and then the cliche, he insults John Cena, and then he insults the people, and John Cena comes in and makes Elias look like a chump. Elias gets 0 offense. Cena hits his 5 moves at him.
Yeah. Well, considering what's about to come next, having Cena get some offense in was good. Because after that, Cena's heading up to the ramp. He's just disposed of Elias. Heading back up the ramp, and everyone in the crowd, we all think Undertaker's going to be there, but we don't know.
And of course, you've seen this cameraman sitting on the ramp if you're there. You see this weird stuff set up on the ramp, so they have to be doing something.
They had
the
to
further Cena gets up the ramp, the more your mind keeps going back to this Raw after Raw after Raw, where you keep thinking, they have to do something.
But then the lights went out, and we all knew something was about to happen with The Undertaker, and then the spotlight on the ring, that his hat and coat and gloves in the same or similar position as what it was last year. And I'm assuming the camera put in some lightning there, because we heard a lightning sound effect, and then it looked like there was a little bit of fireworks that caught the thing on flame for a split second.
I saw a little lightning blast.
I didn't see. Well, I saw the pyrotechnics, but I'm assuming they special effects, the lightning bolt.
I mean, it probably looked more like lightning on camera.
Yeah.
I still saw the burst.
Yeah, I saw the burst, just not the lightning. And then the lights went back out, but it was still bright enough you could see the guy slide in and grab the thing and pull it back down. And then the spotlight came back on and it was gone. And then you heard the gong, and Undertaker came out, full on dead man. I was so happy. I predicted that he was going to be the badass, but I wanted the dead man, so I don't care about being wrong about that.
Rewinding a little bit, Triple H came out on a motorcycle, and as soon as Triple H came out on a motorcycle, thought there's no way they had 2 motorcycle entrances in one night.
But he came out, and they made Undertaker look like $1 million. He probably can't go nearly as good as he used to, as evidence from last year, but they made him look like $1 million fucking bucks because he squashed John Cena. The only offense John Cena got in on The Undertaker was for Undertaker to get in his comeback spots. He did his,
so he could sit up.
Yeah, he did his signature moves and his memorable moves, and he won. And he looked like $1 million. I've heard people say that they wouldn't mind another match. I wouldn't mind it if they do it like this, but they need to continue doing it like this, because if they do one more match and try to have it be competitive, it's going to end up like last year.
See, whether you wanted dead man or badass, the one good thing about this match, a lot of people, including myself, didn't want him to come back this year because of how he looked last year. We don't want to remember The Undertaker as this old man that looks like he's dying in the ring. And this is a good way to, if this is his last match, now we've gotten to see this last, the dead man being the dead man we all know, coming in, wreaking havoc, no-selling John Cena.
And let it die that way. He has rehabbed his image a little bit. Let it end. That's it needs to, but we'll see how it goes, and hopefully they get the message that even if it doesn't end, they'll continue doing this rehabbed version of him. I heard somebody say that he should just be like Stone Cold, come out, give somebody a tombstone, and then walk away. Stone Cold doesn't wrestle anymore, but he'll fucking stunner everyone.
I think once he finally killed the dead man, he needs to be gone. He needs to disappear. He needs to never appear again.
I agree, but if they wanted to bring him back, that's the way they should bring him back. But after that, we had a fucking hype match with Undertaker because everyone lost our minds for Undertaker. And then we had another fucking hype match because Daniel Bryan came out. And so we had Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And Daniel Bryan and Shane won this match to maintain Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's firing from SmackDown Live. There was some shenanigans in the beginning where Daniel Bryan got laid out for a good 10 to 15 minutes, and Shane McMahon was fucking Superman, because he always is, and was able to take on 2 fully trained wrestlers from a good portion of the match until he could hot tag Daniel Bryan in to finish everything off.
It was clear they wanted to give Bryan the hot tag. It's also clear that you probably don't want to give Bryan a super long amount of time in his first match back.
Yeah.
Don't really know how he's going to do, which it looked great. He didn't look like he had missed a single step.
No, not at all.
But he got all his main moves in. Shane, after seeing him last night, I don't buy that he's had nearly the injuries he had. Maybe he was in the hospital for something, but it was not whatever they've been saying.
I don't know, it's... And you could tell from being in the crowd that when Shane was in there, we were almost dead silent because we were just waiting for Daniel Bryan.
He got a little bit of a pop for his coast to coast, but that's really the only reaction Shane got.
I'll admit I popped for the coast to coast too because it is impressive to see live. But we lost our shits when Bryan was in there. So, but they maintained Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn being fired.
It's obviously fantastic to see Bryan back.
Oh, of course.
He controls that crowd like no one else can, too.
After that, we had Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax for the not SmackDown, the Raw Women's title. And you were at the bathroom or getting food at this point.
Man, I went to go get a beer in a line that had 4 people in it, thinking, wow, this will only take a few minutes. They're still hyping up how many people are in the building. They were still doing a hype on the whole attendance and doing the pyro display for that. I'm standing in line thinking, I have plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
This line took through Alexa Bliss's And Nia Jax's entrance.
And Alexa Bliss had a really cool entrance too. She came down from the top of the stage set. I said the ceiling, but not the ceiling of the arena. The ceiling of the stage set had smoke coming up. She had this really cool like goddess gear on, and she just came down. It was I immediately thought Shawn Michaels and Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, and she came down, and then had Mickie James come out just from the back, and went to the ring. Nia Jax came out, just kind of had a standard entrance. She didn't have anything special, and Nia Jax came down and fucking destroyed Mickie James to make it a pure one-on-one. And then we had a good match, not a hyped match, but a good match, and Nia Jax came out on top as the new I almost said SmackDown again, as the new Raw Women's Champion.
And she got a good reaction. Crowd was definitely still recovering from Undertaker, followed by Daniel Bryan.
Oh, yeah.
But she did get a good reaction. It was a good match. She hit her Samoan drop from the second rope, which looked insane, and it looked good. She had a good showing.
And then the next match, I feel like, was a victim of its own hype. It was... I know I overhyped it for myself. But at the same time, we didn't have a phenomenal match, pun intended. But we had a good match, but we were all dead still from Daniel Bryan and Undertaker.
This match, if I had known they were going to put on the kind of match they put on here, which, like you said, not a bad match. If I had known this was going to be the kind of match, though, I would not have wanted this match to be as late in the show as it was.
And for the record, since I hadn't said it yet, it was AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE title. We were saying at the beginning of the show that this is they need to wait till later in the show to put this on, and after they waited later in the show to put this on, it became apparent it probably should have been on earlier.
So the thing with this match is it wasn't a bad match, but it was a slow, technical, probably told more of a story than I was able to pay attention to kind of match. Just that late in the show, it's hard to keep focus. It's hard to pay attention to every move and hang on to every fall until like you're waiting for something to grab your attention.
But then
a match that builds like this isn't going to do that.
And AJ took the win, retained the title. Shinsuke was going to be the honorable one, took the title from the ref and was handing it to AJ. They were having a good feel-good moment, and then Shinsuke just decked him square in the nuts. And
now that got the best reaction of this entire match.
Yeah, and then we had a full-on Shinsuke heel turn, and I feel like this is going to be the best thing for him because he's not been getting much of a reaction here recently.
I have high hopes for this kind of Shinsuke, especially from what I've heard of his character in Japan. This seems like it'll lend to maybe building more towards being like that.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been much of a character, really.
No.
There's nothing more to his character than weird guy that dances on his way to the ring to cool music.
Kind of like Bobby Roode, is just a glorious guy.
Guy obsessed with the word.
Yep. And then we had...
This match, though, did have two... I mean, Styles got mostly a pretty standard entrance, but Styles' entrance is always pretty good.
Oh, yeah, Shinsuke's was fucking...
But Shinsuke Nakamura, with all the violinists surrounding the ramp, his guitarist, the whole live band playing his song, fantastic.
I do miss his violinist, though. And I'm not saying that I wanted that violinist to replace what we had there. Maybe replace the other violinists that were there, but the guitar player was good. Keep the guitar player. I would have liked to have the guitar player and the violinist right there together and just have those two go at it. And that violinist had his, I'm pretty sure all the other ones did too, but had his violin hooked up to the sound system.
Right.
So...
Thing is, I know WrestleMania is the place to do special things, so if you're going to bring that back, it would be WrestleMania, but if you keep using the same guy and you do the same thing over and over again, it stops being special. And they've already done it 2 or 3 times at least.
Yeah. But then we had the Raw Tag Team titles on the line with DeBar versus Braun Strowman and a mystery tag team partner that nobody could have predicted because Braun came out and he said, my partner is not in the back. Everyone expected him to say, my partner is these hands. And then he said, my partner is in the crowd. He said, it's one of you or one of you. And he pointed to different sections of the crowd. And then he went into the crowd and found a little small boy, probably about 10 years old, named Nicholas. and Nicholas was Braun Strowman's new tag team partner, and brought him to the ring, and he said, "You just stand on the apron, and I'll do the rest of the work. You want to see the bar get these hands?" And then Nicholas got on the apron. The crowd wanted blood. We wanted Nicholas in that ring, and they gave it to us for like 2 seconds before Nicholas tagged back out.
Yeah, this whole thing, in the moment, especially when you're in the crowd, was fun. I enjoyed it.
It was probably
fun. It was a
stupid
good laugh.
home.
However, afterwards, when you're thinking back, a few things that come to mind. One, this was built up way too long for this to be the end result. And two, any pay-per-view, or even just a Raw, not WrestleMania, just did not belong on WrestleMania.
No, but and in the moment, in the crowd, it was fun. At home, it was probably stupid. Also, getting the chant for Nicholas was actually a lot of fun. We want Nicholas and that kind of stuff. And in the end, Braun Strowman and Nicholas are the new tag team champions. If there's actually a record book they keep of who won the titles, Nicholas is now in the record books as a champion.
And then for being in the crowd too, not knowing who this kid is, which now we've learned it's one of the referee's kids.
Yeah.
But not knowing that in the moment, after this match, Braun Strowman just takes him and they both walk up the ramp through the back, and you're like, Braun Strowman just kidnapped a child.
Oh,
there
yeah,
he goes.
I forgot about that. I leaned over and I was like pretty sure Braun just kidnapped a child. But after that, we finally got into the thing that everyone knew how this was going to end, with Roman holding the Universal title high, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and the crowd did not pay attention one bit because we all had beach balls out and were playing with beach balls and making random chants and booing and chanting delete towards the the event staff who took the beach balls away. We weren't paying that much attention to this match at all, just to kind of show our displeasure with Roman. And
the first 5 minutes of the match got some attention, but mostly just people chanting things, but then the beach balls came out.
Yeah.
And for anyone watching at home, and from what I've heard, they probably muted the crowd a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you heard random booing that maybe kind of went along with the match, but kind of seemed like weird placement, that's because an event staff stole a beach ball.
And
if you heard a pop that kind of seemed weirdly placed, that was a new beach ball appearing in the crowd.
And then also a lot of times with the loud booing was then followed by delete chants.
Oh yeah, the event staff were the biggest heels in the building during that match.
Yes, but we got to the end of the match, and I can't really tell you if there was any huge spots other than Roman getting busted open a hard way.
From what I heard, that was the 5th F5, and I think that was the 3rd that I saw because really, we weren't paying attention.
Yeah. So, but aside from the F5s and Roman getting busted open a hard way, I honestly wasn't paying that much attention because at first I was like, really, we're going to bring out beach balls right now? Like, this is stupid. But then I got into it. And
it was hard to care about this match.
It was.
Too, even from what I've heard afterwards, it wasn't a good match. People that were paying attention, Brock looked like the Brock that's been going out there and just not caring. And even Reigns didn't look like he was out there to put on a good show.
But they did get our attention at the end when Brock retained against everyone's expectations, and the entire crowd immediately stopped what we were doing and paid attention. And then they ended it. Brock went to the back. The crowd started to pour out because we thought it was over.
And the thing is, I don't think anybody realized they were still on the air. Even the Trons no longer had what was going on in the ring on the screen.
Yeah.
So everybody's pouring out. Yeah. And then by the time the arena's probably 60-70% empty, they hit Reigns' music. And come to find out, everybody saw that at home. You all got to see the empty crowd while Reigns was walking to the back.
Yep, and then they hit fucking pyro, and it gave me a heart attack because I had to do pyro to end the show.
My thing with this, not for a second was I excited for Reigns to win the title. I'm not a big Reigns fan, but I'm beyond this point where I'm just hating on Reigns and this and that. Yeah, it's fun to boo him sometimes, but I don't hate Reigns. He's fine.
He's a good wrestler. I hate his character. I hate that.
Was very much willing to accept Reigns winning this match, especially like my big reason for accepting it.
Just get
the title off Lesnar. I'm tired of this part timer. It's not on TV every week. I want the world champion to be on TV every week, promote his title, defend his title on Raw occasionally, defend it at every pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get some kind of closure on that tonight, because this honestly left a huge sour taste in my mouth leaving this show. That they just had to swerve us and leave the title on Lesnar, where the only reason I was going to accept this being in the main event and this being on the show in the first place was to finally get this title off Lesnar after a year of him defending it 4 times a year in these matches that are just not good anymore. He has had 1 or 2 good matches in the past year, and one of them was with somebody that could wrestle a broomstick. So,
but tonight we get to go to Raw. We'll see if anything else happens. Okay, let's run down Raw.
Final show of the weekend.
For us, at least. Some people are going to SmackDown. We are not one of those. I don't care. I don't care about it.
And if I had the time, I would. But I don't care enough.
Me either. And after Raw, we were talking about it. This was the first day that I really got sick of the crowd. So I'm glad I'm not ending up in SmackDown, because by then I may end up shanking somebody.
Yeah, people wear me out.
But we'll try to get through this as quickly as possible, because I feel like this whole podcast thing is going to end up 2 hours or something. So I start out with Stephanie McMahon came out, and we booed the shit out of her.
What kind of Raw wouldn't start without Stephanie McMahon? Of course.
Well, I mean, it kind of worked this time, because it got the WrestleMania crowd up in an uproar against her. She turned it on us very easily and very masterfully, I gotta say that. And then, after that, she said, "You all want Ronda Rousey to come out?" And everyone freaked out, and Ronda Rousey came out. And then, shook hands with Stephanie, everyone booed the shit out of it, and then Ronda put her in the armbar and fucked up her arm even more.
It was almost too easy. Kept waiting for something to go wrong, Triple H to come out.
Yeah.
Surprising. Especially when she was like, "Y'all want Ronda to come out?" Oh shit, Ronda's not coming out, is she?
Yeah, it was a good long pause there, and I was like, she's not here. She's not even here. Stephanie's going to use that as a way to turn the crowd against Ronda, but that's not what happened. But
I'm surprised they even gave away the armbar again on TV for free.
Well, after they did it once on WrestleMania, I feel like they can just do it now.
Yeah, I still feel like we're getting a singles match at some point between those two.
Probably, especially considering what we've seen. But after that, we had Nia come out for her I guess, coronation as the new Raw Women's Champion. And then Alexa and Mickey came out and started throwing around fat jokes, saying that nobody likes her because she's fat, and that she doesn't even have a tag team partner for the match that they had. And then Nia said, "I actually do have a partner, and her name is Ember Moon." And Ember got called up from NXT.
What a good reaction she got too.
And it goes without saying, Nia and Ember won.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Ember hit her Eclipse, got all her good moves in.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good showing for Ember.
Nice little showcase to show the people who don't watch NXT who she is. But, there's really not much else to say. I mean, Nia, Ember won. Everyone got to meet Ember if they didn't know her before. And Alexa got outed as being a bully, basically.
And now we wait and see if they can do better with Ember on the main roster than in NXT.
Oh, I sure as hell hope so. And then after that, we had a backstage segment where Braun came up to Kurt Angle, and Kurt congratulated Braun for winning the tag titles and asked him where his tag team partner was. And Braun was like, "He's right here," and turned just slightly to the side, and Nicholas was right there. And he said, and then Braun told Kurt that they had to relinquish the titles because of a scheduling conflict because Nicholas still has to go to school. But he reassured us all that after they handed off the titles back to Kurt, he reassured us that as soon as Nicholas gets out of school, Braun and Nicholas are coming back for those tag titles, and whoever's champion is going to get those hands.
And if in 10 years Nicholas isn't back, I'd be real upset. I'm waiting 10 whole years. More like 8.
Everyone
Still.
was expecting that the Authors of Pain were going to destroy Braun for those titles or something like that. I'm not upset with how they did this. It was a...
No, I was baffled. As soon as Nicholas became their partner, I was baffled as to how they were going to get the titles off of them, because whether Nicholas stood on the ropes looking scared the whole time, or he ran away or wasn't part of it, it was going to be weird. And this was probably the best way you could have gotten the titles off of them without an awkward encounter.
Yeah, just a quick get-out-of-jail-free card. Let's relinquish the tag titles because Nicholas still has to go to school. But after that, we got a promo package. I don't know if the people at home got it. I'm pretty sure they did. For No Way Jose's debut. And in commercial break, this unnamed jobber came out. I saw him come down in the darkness. I was like, "Who's that?" I thought it was somebody. I thought it was like Kurt Hawkins or something like that. But when the lights came up, it was just a jobber.
He was dressed like he really wanted to be Pete Dunne.
Oh, yeah. And then we had No Way Jose come out with his conga line and dispatched of this jobber quickly within like a minute, despite the "Let's Go Jobber" chants.
This was fun for what it was. There's not too much to say about it. No Way Jose didn't do too much in NXT.
No.
Maybe he's an example like Elias is somebody that starts to get a little bit bigger on the main roster. This could work more in front of a larger crowd.
I feel like he'll be a good mid-card.
But he's probably never going to make it to the main event. But that's fine. He's a fun mid-carder. He'll be fun, especially for anyone in the crowds when he's there.
And then we had another backstage segment with General Manager Kurt Angle with the Bar coming in saying, "Hey, if Braun's relinquished the tag titles, maybe you should just hand them off to us." And Kurt made sure to correct them, saying that Braun and his partner relinquished the tag titles, and that he wasn't just going to hand them back to the Bar, that they were going to face a team at Backlash who is basically, like, he called it a tag team eliminator. It's it's a tournament. It's a tag team tournament.
For as goofy as that name was, though, I'll admit, in the 2 segments Kurt was on tonight, looked probably less goofy than he has in a little while he was on it tonight. He might flub any lines.
He might be feeling himself after that WrestleMania match.
Probably on a little bit of a high after actually going out there and first WrestleMania in over 10 years.
But with that, we had the first bit of the tag team eliminator, the Revival versus the Club, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and the Revival beat the Club. Moved on in the eliminator.
I was pleased that the Revival got a win. Big problem I had with this match was when the beach balls appeared. The crowd decided this match was a great time to get the beach balls out.
Oh yeah.
And as much as I think those can be fun at certain times,
this was not the match for it.
This crowd, of course, being the smarkier wrestling fan crowd, will be the same people that would be complaining, as I usually do, that the Revival and the Club do not get used nearly as much as they should.
And they're the same ones who are bringing out the beach balls.
And they're the ones that pulled out the beach balls and were playing around during this match, so much so, and this is partially on me, but I was distracted, and I missed the entire finish of this match. All of a sudden I looked back for the 2-3 of the pinfall.
Yeah.
And that just kind of pissed me off. But regardless, Revival got a win. They're probably not winning this tournament, but at least they're doing something.
Yeah. I have a strong feeling they're not winning this tournament based off of what we're about to encounter later on. I'm pretty sure this happened earlier in the night, but I'm following a website who did step-by-step what happened each time, or maybe it did happen at this point. I don't know. My brain's not working after these past few days. But Seth Rollins came out, celebrate his Intercontinental title victory. Finn came out and said, "Hey, if I remember correctly, Seth didn't pin Finn for that title, did he?
Man, I already forgot.
I don't know. I don't think he did. But Finn came out.
I think Finn was laying flat right next to him.
Well,
yeah, he did pin Miz.
So Rollins pinned Miz. So Finn came out and said that he didn't pin him, and that he would like to be the next challenger for the Intercontinental title. And they shook hands. Everything seemed like it was going to happen. Miz came out, delivered an impassioned promo, as he always does, about the Intercontinental title and how he's brought it up to prominence, which he's not fucking wrong about. And then Miz said the three of us, him and the Miztourage, could beat the two of them any day, which isn't really saying much, and that kind of let it known that there was going to be a three-man or a six-man tag later on in the match. Didn't know who was going to team with Seth and Finn until the Hardy Boys music hit and Jeff Hardy came out, which I guess is no longer the Hardy Boys music, it's Jeff Hardy's music.
I mean, as much as I popped for this, I kind of hoped they would hit Jeff Hardy's old music when he came back. But still, I'm an old Jeff Hardy fan. I'll always be a Jeff Hardy fan. It was great to see him come back. I popped.
And that's not the last we'll end up talking of them, because the six-man tag ended up being the main event. So after that, we had Mandy Rose come out of Absolution, going up against Sasha Banks and Bayley in Sasha Banks' corner. Mandy Rose went over.
This match was what it was. There was another tease of Bayley accidentally hitting Sasha, and
yeah,
this story, as interesting as it is, it just feels like it keeps going. These people keep accidentally hitting each other. They get in fights. Is this the turn? No, they're friends again. Oh, they hit him again. Oh, is this the turn?
I feel like I'd be more into this without Absolution.
I don't care who they throw out there at this point. I just want to know what's going on with this never-ending build-up.
Well, I'm just noticing whenever Absolution is out there, I just don't care as much because they've been booked as a joke. Mandy Rose has the distinction of being the first ever woman eliminated from the Women's Royal Rumble match and the first ever woman eliminated from the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Like, she's a joke for sure. Sonya Deville is a joke for being her MMA character on the same brand as Ronda Rousey. And Absolution was a joke whenever Paige could no longer wrestle, because that was the only reason all of us wanted to see Absolution, which, speaking of which, we got Paige's official retirement tonight.
Yeah, after this very quick turn to Paige's retirement speech, which of course was the right crowd to do this in, because they quickly went from booing the heels to giving Paige the respect she does deserve.
I will give the crowd that much, where sometimes it seemed like we were trying to, well, I say we, but I mean the crowd was trying to have fun at the expense of matches. When it was serious time, it was serious time. And they were able to understand that.
Now the question is, at this point, does Absolution finally get their own theme song?
I don't know. I hope so, but I don't.
Because Paige did say, not only did she finally announce that she's retired from making the ring competition, she said she's gone. This is it.
Yeah.
That was the last we're going to see of Paige.
But she did say she has hope because of Daniel Bryan. It was just a really impassioned speech, and I can't do it any justice. Other than, like, if I played a YouTube clip, but I'm not gonna do that. It's just, it was everything that a retirement speech needed. Emotions ran high. She started crying in the middle of the ring just because of the reaction she was getting. So, but from there, we had a boy, Elias, come out, and just one night earlier, he was the biggest heel in my eyes because of that Undertaker tease. But then here we are the next day, and he, like, the entire crowd loves him. I'm behind him. We got that "Oh, walk with Elias" chant going, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. And Elias was having a fun. We could tell.
Elias is just great with the crowd. He can get the crowd in the palm of his hands, and it's real fun to be there live for, which last night would have been more fun to be there live for, but at the time that Elias came out last night, I was not in the palm of his hands. I just wanted him gone because I just wanted The Undertaker.
Yes.
So it was fun to get Elias at a time that I wasn't wanting somebody else. I could just enjoy Elias being Elias.
Yes. But then we had Bobby Lashley debut and
I
dispatch.
He'd be here tonight. This is not when I thought he was coming.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that he was coming, but I didn't think about that at all during the show.
I'll admit, and I didn't say anything to you at this point, actually, I had somebody send me a picture of the production crew. It's actually right below us. We probably could have seen this if we had looked. They were queuing up a Tron for him way earlier in the show, and somebody snapped a picture of it and posted it online, and Corey sent it to me.
God damn it, Corey.
Say anything to you. However, still, even knowing he was coming at some point that night, I wasn't expecting it during Elias, so I still popped.
Still, God damn it, Corey. The fuck you think you're doing? But he took out Elias real fast and just went back to the back. We got Bobby Lashley now. That's really all this segment proved. I don't think we're getting a feud out of it. It's just he came out, he took out Elias, and went back.
I was impressed at the reaction he got, especially when Elias was just out there getting such a big babyface reaction. Lashley was one of those people you never know if you're gonna get a big babyface reaction or if the crowd's just gonna turn on him. But the crowd was ready for it. I was excited for it. It was fun. I'm excited to see what they do with him.
And then we had another segment backstage with Kurt Angle where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn showed up. After their loss to Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, they are now fired 100% from SmackDown Live and came to Kurt Angle looking for a job. And Kurt said, "Are you fucking crazy? You got fired because you attacked your boss. Why would I want to hire you? Okay, I have one spot open. You guys wrestle for it."
This was a pleasant surprise. We all know Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens don't have a bad match, and we'll talk about the match later, but of course they delivered. So, pleasant surprise. None of us knew we were getting it at that point.
And then we had Heath Slater and Rhino come out, and Heath Slater gave the old school promo, not old school, but old school for him basically, of I got kids, I need this job, I need those tag titles to make more money in this job, why am I not in the tag team eliminator? Anyone in the back, any tag team in the back want to come out and face us to try to get attention of Kurt Angle for the tag team eliminator, come out. The entire crowd chanted for Authors of Pain.
Oh, as soon as they said, "Is anybody in the back?" You see everybody standing up, like everybody was ready. Everybody knew what was coming, and sure enough, Authors of Pain. But I may have popped for Authors of Pain music. I popped more for Paul Ellering walking out. I didn't think he was coming up.
Yep, I was the same way. He came out, and it goes without saying, Authors of Pain won. It was their debut, so of course, and they came down, they took out Heath Slater pretty fast. It wasn't that long of a match.
And then they shredded my heart as fast as they built me up.
They seem to have ditched Paul Ellering.
It was very strange.
Here's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for this is them pushing away Paul Ellering, saying, hey, we can make it on our own now, and Paul Ellering's going to put together a new team to go against Authors of Pain.
My thing is, I haven't seen anything out of Authors of Pain that suggests they're good talkers.
They're not.
So
they need him as a mouthpiece.
I'm nervous.
Unless they're giving them to Paul Heyman. I mean, I wouldn't want that. Ellering has been with them already.
But this wasn't a definitive thing. Maybe they're still making up their minds. We all know how they are with doing things on the fly. Yeah. They could next week come out with Paul Ellering again.
Yeah.
This might not be the end of that. But as they were walking away, they did put their hands out and stop Paul Ellering before they got onto the ramp, and they walked up the ramp alone and left Ellering at the ringside.
If they are ditching Ellering, I hope they turn it into a storyline, which will eventually culminate in either the Authors of Pain getting a new manager, which I don't want. I want them to have Ellering, but they do need a mouthpiece. But either culminating in getting a new manager or getting Ellering back, or something. Because this is... or having Ellering get them back. But they need him. Like, there's not many people out there that need their managers. Brock Lesnar needs Paul Heyman. Authors of Pain needs Paul Ellering.
And the actor's so good.
But from there, we had Roman come out. And this is the part where they should have brought out the beach balls and everything, but they didn't. There was no beach balls.
There were a couple.
I didn't see him. So I'm not saying they weren't there. I just didn't see them.
I saw it coming.
But then he said, there's a big conspiracy going around that, as of Wednesday, everyone thought Brock was leaving and going back to the UFC, but now it just came out today that Brock has re-signed with the WWE, and that must mean that's why I lost at WrestleMania, and now I have a match at the greatest Royal Rumble, and I had to find out about it through the internet. This is a big old conspiracy. And then Samoa Joe came out and said, Roman, you're a fucking failure. There's no conspiracy. Everyone knows it. You're a failure. You failed. And when you do fail again at the greatest Royal Rumble, I will be waiting for you at Backlash to put you to sleep. This was phenomenal to have Samoa Joe come back.
Oh, it was great. The crowd tried to boo out Roman like they did last year. But Roman wasn't playing any games with it and waiting this time. He just talked over the booing.
He wasn't as hated this year. I don't think it was like last year at all. He was fucking despised last year.
Did you have something in your ears?
He got booed hard, but they quieted down when he brought they didn't quiet down when he brought the mic up, but when he talked, they quieted down. When it was last year, when he talked, they got louder.
Every single time he brought the microphone to his mouth, they got louder again.
Yeah, but when he talked, you could hear him. You could understand.
He didn't talk last year.
Well, yeah, but
we didn't get a chance to see that. And then by the time he did talk, it was 2 words and he was gone.
Yeah, but still, they booed him so fucking loud. I don't know. It was
either way. He wasn't playing with it this year. He just talked right over it.
Yeah,
I don't see how. I'll never understand how they think this is a likable character. Conspiracy theorist Roman, I don't know.
We still don't like him. I like him as a wrestler. He's just, his character's garbage. But let's move away from Roman. I wish we could move away from Roman in every way possible. But after that, we had Titus Worldwide come out for a tag team eliminator match against a mystery tag team, and it ended up being Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt.
This was fun. It was what you'd expect from pairing Bray Wyatt with Matt Hardy. It's been a long time coming. Those two, they played off each other even better than I would think, honestly.
Yeah. Because they're kind of mixing their acts together with different things. More so Bray taking on more of Matt Hardy's Woken stuff than Matt Hardy taking on Bray's stuff. But they're mixing it together, and I'm really liking it. I still really wanted a Bray entrance, but I finally got to see him wrestle. So
this whole thing is also just breathing life into Bray Wyatt that he's needed for so long.
And you can tell it when you look at his face. He's eating it up.
He's having fun with it.
And it goes without saying, Matt and Bray won, and they're going to go on in the tag team eliminator to face the Revival.
And plus, every time they've tried to turn Bray face, they've given up on it so fast, and it's always actually a promise. He usually gets good face reactions when they try, but they give up on it so fast, and they go back to the same old tired shtick, which is why everyone's gotten tired of him at this point. So
I've stayed behind him.
I hope they stay course
has.
with this one. I hope they don't have him turn on Matt Hardy real fast and go back heel, because that's just what they love to do.
They're gonna have them turn eventually, but I hope it doesn't like the whole Randy thing that happened within like a month or two. This should be like a 6-month long team up at least, and then have them feud again. But after that, we had some more Matt Hardy and Bray action that met up with Jeff to kind of have a little heart-to-heart. The crowd was cheering so loud I couldn't really hear it. I think they were talking as in they were in the Broken Universe, calling Jeff Brother Nero and everything, giving him big hugs all around. And then when Matt and Bray walked away, the camera panned out and Finn and Seth were standing next to Jeff, just dumbfounded at what happened. It was
fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was of no consequence. But then that led into our main event: Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and Jeff Hardy versus The Miztourage. And Seth Finn and Jeff won.
It was a good match.
It was a
Rollins,
really good match.
Rollins is over. I don't know. I didn't realize how. I mean, he's been getting over every week, but like, out of all the people I would have expected to be as over as they were tonight, Rollins was not the person I expected. But
Rollins was number one.
Rollins was definitely the most over person tonight, and he went in there and put
Maybe
on
Elias.
another show.
Elias, maybe.
Maybe. Still, that burn it down.
Yeah, that was definitely.
And every chant Rollins got and that hot tag, Rollins was so.
That the burn it down was deafening every time it happened. It was, but we all knew who was gonna win. I feel I really wish Miz would just go be with his newborn.
I mean, he was already in New Orleans. He might as well stay another day. We'll see if he's back next week.
I hope. He says he wants his rematch at Backlash. I hope he stays away till then, or at least comes back like a week before Backlash, so that he can be with his newborn. He's
He'll probably be on less, and we don't know if he's on house shows right now.
But he's a really hateable heel. But as a dude, I don't want him to miss out with his kid. But there's nothing really else to say about that. That was.
I mean, when the match first ended, I was disappointed. I've seen Jeff Hardy wrestle one other time, and being such a big fan, the one thing I didn't get out of the first time I saw him wrestle was a swanton. This match ended before we got a swanton, and I thought we weren't going to get one. And then all of a sudden there was a last little quick brawl, and we got 2 swantons, and I go home happy.
I forgot about that already. Well, I didn't forget, but I forgot to mention it. But.
And man, ever since he came back, not this most recent comeback, but like came back to the WWE to begin with, his swantons, he doesn't roll through anymore.
No.
He just
full on lands.
Lands on top of these people. And Jeff is not a small man, and he's only gotten bigger throughout his career.
I said to you that he just like full on landed on that guy. I don't remember which one it was. And I finally realized what I meant by that. He has been full on landing on people for the most part, but he's usually had his back arched.
I've shown you videos where he's done that.
But no, what I mean is like he's going forward.
I know what you're saying.
So, but this time he like full on just like back.
Yep. I've shown you videos where he's done that exact same thing. He's been doing that a whole bunch since he came back, and I feel sorry for people that have to take the swanton bomb from older Jeff Hardy right now. But
well, also,
regardless,
he's been gone for a while.
Regardless of how he's landing on people, though, the move itself as he flies, he has not missed a step on that bit.
No, he's not missed a step at all. But that was Raw, and that was our weekend in New Orleans, Louisiana, which I'll talk more about that on my own. But we are heading home tomorrow aboard bed. So, I'll be back, but I'm not doing it tonight. Fuck that shit. Alright, we are at the end of the podcast now, and it's time to talk about the Death Museum. Now, this was something that I had heard about a while ago. And it's interesting. Like, I heard about this on Facebook a long time ago, years ago probably at this point, and I was like, oh, one day I really want to go there, and then I forgot about it. Like, it was something that I never ended up doing or expecting to do. With that said, we got to New Orleans, and I didn't remember that. I completely forgot it was a thing. So I sat there. I didn't sit there, but somebody said on Facebook that we should go to the Death Museum. And that clicked in my head, and I realized, oh yeah, that's something that I've wanted to do in the past. Let's go. If we can find some time to go, let's go. So, a brief rundown of how our trip went. I'll kind of go over that first. We got in, we left Louisville about 6 or 7 p.m. On Friday. Made it a little over halfway to New Orleans, and then stopped in... Oh, where did we stop? Oh, man. I think Alabama. And then we picked back up the next day, and went all the way to New Orleans. We got to the hotel. We had a couple of hours to just kind of hang out and chill out. We went to the Walgreens around the corner and picked up some alcohol, which I had no idea Walgreens sold alcohol, but apparently they do. And picked that up, went back. We recorded some predictions for NXT, and then we had to be out the door on the way to the Smoothie King Center for NXT TakeOver. Got back. I don't remember when we recorded our reactions to those. I think we just got back. Went to bed, woke up, had enough time to go to the WrestleMania Superstore and eat. And that was pretty much it before we had to make our way to the Superdome for WrestleMania. And then by the time we got home, not home, but back to the hotel, we had to go to sleep again because it was the end of the day and we were tired. We just endured 7 hours plus of wrestling. We went to sleep. We got up the next day, and that was the day where we had time to spare. We weren't driving in, like with TakeOver. If we were there earlier in the day, we could have probably gone and done something. But we got there with enough time to do the few things we did and then go to TakeOver. But then Monday came around and we're already in New Orleans. We didn't have to drive around. We had the ability to go do what we wanted to do. So we went out and we did what we wanted to do. We went out, we ate a shit ton of good food. We watched some street performers. We interacted with some street performers. New Orleans has a fucking personality unlike I have ever known, and I loved it. Like, when we first got to New Orleans, I thought that this city looks like it's a dump. Why are we here? Why is this where the show has to be? This is a dump. And then once we got to meet some of the people and interact with the city, it became less and less of a dump to me and more of a personality. We went around and watched street performers, like I said, interacted with shows like basically a stuntman had us interact with one of his shows. There were some really cool violinists that were just playing in the street, just playing. And went down Bourbon Street. We were informed by one of the locals to not go to Bourbon Street at night. I don't know if that is something that is legitimate or not, but a local told it to us, and we listened. We did not go to Bourbon Street at night, but we did go halfway through the day, which I will add on to what that local told us. She said, don't go to Bourbon Street. It's not all what it's made out to be. Go there, get a drink, leave. I have to disagree with what she said. Maybe she meant that for going to Bourbon Street at night. Go there, get a drink, go leave. But going there midway through the day, yeah, it's weird that you're getting drinks midday, but you're there to have a vacation, have a party. It's excusable. So we went there midway through the day, and we went to a couple bars. I don't remember what the first bar was called, but we got a hand grenade there. It was phenomenal. It was everything that it was hyped up to me to be. It wasn't as strong, I felt, as what it was hyped up to me to be. I was told it was something that you had to drink while standing, because if you were sitting up, it would, if you were sitting down and then when you stood up, it would hit you all at once. I didn't get that feeling. I did take the advice for half of the drink. I stood up while drinking this, and then I said, screw this, I'm sitting down. And when I sat down, I finished the drink. When I stood up, I felt pretty okay. Like, I could feel the alcohol, but like it didn't knock me on my ass. But it was a really, really good drink. Supposedly the strongest drink in New Orleans. And I can understand why. We looked up what is in a hand grenade, and it is like, it's basically an LIT just made completely out of alcohol. So it's really strong and really big too. After that, we tried to go to a bar that was recommended for me to go to, which was the Dungeon. We found it. We went to it. We tried to go to it. The Dungeon is a night bar. Was not open at the time we tried to go to it. But on the way looking for the Dungeon, we ended up finding Spirits on Bourbon, which was a bar that appeared on the TV show Bar Rescue. And both me and Tyler, who was the guy you heard throughout this entire episode, forgot to mention that at the beginning. My bad. We used to watch Bar Rescue, not together, but we watched it, and we remembered that episode. It was a pretty I always want to say rememberable. It was a pretty memorable episode. And these guys were basically in trouble for selling knockoff hand grenades. They weren't what they were supposed to be. They weren't as good as a hand grenade, and the cup that they would serve it to you in was very reminiscent of a hand grenade, but it wasn't a hand grenade. So Bar Rescue got called in, rehabbed the bar, and gave them a new drink called the Resurrection. So once we found out that the Dungeon was closed, we were like, let's go to Spirits and have a resurrection. So that's exactly what we did. We went, we had the Resurrection. It was a fantastic bar experience. The guys playing some music were phenomenal guys, and the drink was pretty fucking tasty, I'd think. But after all that, we decided to go, well, actually before all that, I believe, we went to the Death Museum, and it was interesting. There was, when you first get in there, there was a bunch of just strange things. Strange taxidermy things. And it was interesting to look at. And I thought that's what all this was going to be until you got into the next section, where there was a bunch of just articles of famous serial killers and murderers. Even bits and pieces of like clothing from these serial killers and murderers, and even their victims. And it was kind of surreal to be that close to these kind of things. And then you go on even further, and you got into like the morticians area, where they would show like old morticians gear and birth defects and pictures of. There was a point in time where like you more than likely wouldn't have a picture of a family member until they were dead, and then they'd get posed and have a picture taken of them before they were buried. And there were a bunch of pictures like that posted around, and it was interesting to look around. I tried to absorb information when I got there. It became very clear that was hard to do. There was a lot of people in this museum, all trying to read the same stuff all at once, and I'm a terrible reader. Terrible. I lose my attention span way too quickly, and then I start to skim through when I'm reading, and then I forget what I read. So that was a downfall on my part, but it was still very surreal to see all these kinds of things. we got to the end of it all, and there was something called the Death Theater. There was a sign that said Death Theater this way. So we went. Oh my god, I didn't know I was this squeamish. There was a point in my life where I wanted to be a mortician. I don't think I could now, seeing the Death Theater. This was things... This was a bunch of videos of bodies at the scenes of their death. Some of them really gruesome. Some of them were even just autopsies. Autopsies were I was okay with, like seeing a body get cut open to look at the internal organs. It didn't bother me. It was seeing the damage done to these bodies that really disturbed me. Like there was a video of somebody with a deep gash in their neck. Like really deep. You don't think about these kinds of things until you see it. And you can watch movies all you want and see these kinds of things happen. But it's only when you see it on this screen and you know this was a living person and this is not an actor and this is not a scene, that it really seeps into your mind. Like there was somebody with one of their bones sticking out of their elbow on the autopsy table. I believe his head was caved in too. There was a lot of head caving in bodies, and that was weird and messed up to see. What finally got me to say, okay, I'm done with the Death Theater, let's go, was seeing a body with their head halfway ran over, the tire still on the head. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is nasty. And then they fast forwarded to the autopsy room where the tire is gone and you can see how it just caved in the back of this person's head. And not just that, like their jaw started to pop out of their mouth. And again, if this was a movie, yeah, it'd be disgusting, but I'd know it was a movie. But I know this happened to a person, and this person that I'm watching on this screen had a life, and this is how they lost that life. And I'm watching it. That's weird and surreal. Interesting. It's very interesting. I don't want to downplay it. When I say it's weird, I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't mean it in a good way, but I don't mean it in a bad way. But that was the moment that I said, okay, let's get up and go, because I have now seen and cannot get it out of my head the image of somebody with the back of their head caved in and part of their jaw or skull, even if you wanted to say, starting to pop out of their mouth. I was good at that point. We spent a little bit more time looking at the artifacts. Honestly, if you went to the Death Museum, I'd say take a look at the artifacts. You're probably not going to really retain the information that they're trying to give you based off of the things that you can read if you're like me. But it is still very interesting to see these things, be right up next to these things. Gravel from the Sharon Tate murder site for Charlie Manson. I believe they even had one of Charlie Manson's prison uniforms hung up in there. It's very surreal to be around these kinds of things. And then if you're there, I would recommend going to see the Death Theater for like 15 seconds. And then if you can't handle it, get the fuck out. But overall, man, New Orleans was a blast. I got to do a lot of wrestling things, and I got to do a lot of New Orleans things, and I got to do at least one horror thing. With all that said, stay spooky, my friends.